For hundreds of years, Earth had remained quiet, watching, listening, growing stronger in the shadows of the galaxy that once mocked it, ignored it, and treated it like a forgotten dust-covered rock at the edge of civilization, because the Galactic Empire, the oldest and most powerful force in the stars, had declared long ago that Earth was a backwater world, not worthy of attention, not worthy of alliance, and certainly not worthy of war. But all of that changed on one cold morning. A signal came through the deep space array on Europa Station, direct and impossible to ignore. It wasn't coded, it wasn't disguised, it was a challenge. To the planet designated Earth, you are ordered to surrender. Your technology is outdated. Your military is primitive. You will kneel before the Galactic Empire or be erased. No one on the station spoke for almost a full minute. Then came the second message, this time showing images, fleets the size of cities, weapons that cracked moons, planets burning under the Empire's flag, and finally, the face of their supreme commander. Cold, proud, smiling. You have 7 solar days to respond, or we arrive. On Earth, the message was broadcast to all world leaders instantly, and within hours, a meeting was called inside a heavily shielded bunker beneath what was once Antarctica, now home to the Terran Defense Corps. Earth's last and strongest military organization. General Aveline Kai stood at the center of the dark command chamber, surrounded by holograms of representatives from every major power on Earth, each one quiet, each one waiting for someone else to speak first, because they all knew what the Galactic Empire was capable of. They had studied its wars, they had seen its brutality, and they knew this challenge was not a bluff. But General Kai didn't flinch. She looked up, stared directly into the center screen, showing the Empire's demand, and said just 6 words, "Tell them, Earth accepts the challenge." Everyone turned toward her. Some gasped, some protested, but she raised her hand calmly. "They think we're weak because we've been silent. They think we've been hiding because we're afraid. But they don't know what we've built. They don't know what we've become. Outside the Earth's orbit, hidden in the dark side of Saturn's rings, a ship stirred, one that had not been activated in nearly a century. Its name, the Revenant. That it was not large, it did not shine, it carried no flag, but it held something else, technology banned by every known species in the galaxy. Systems older than the stars, and a crew that had been sleeping in stasis, waiting for a moment just like this. As Earth prepared for war, the Revenant awoke. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Empire prepared for what it believed would be a short and final campaign. The Emperor's fleets gathered above a world called Kyloran Prime, where admirals toasted to Earth's surrender before the first battle had even begun. "They will scream once we arrive," one commander said, "and the stars will hear them beg." But they didn't know that Earth had never begged, not during its own wars, not during its near extinction, and certainly not now. Back on Earth, engineers powered up massive underground vaults. Within them sat weapons that had never been tested, not because they were unfinished, but because their power was considered too dangerous. The project was once called Last Light. Now, it had a new name, Judgment Protocol. "Are we really going to use these?" asked a young officer. "Only if they leave us no choice," said General Kai. The story spread across human colonies on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter, in the deep habitats of Neptune. One message repeated everywhere: the Empire is coming. Earth stands ready. And among the people, fear began to turn into something else. Fury. Because humanity had not forgotten how it was treated by the Galactic Empire. They remembered being excluded. They remembered being laughed at. They remembered being denied protection during the Great Plague. And now, Earth would show them why silence is more dangerous than noise. That as the 7 days began to pass, the Galactic Empire watched Earth's system carefully, expecting surrender, expecting panic. Instead, they saw darkness. No transmissions. No movement. Just silence, a deep, heavy silence that unsettled even their most experienced admirals. "Are they preparing to fight?" one alien strategist asked. "No," said the Supreme Commander. "They're preparing to end it." The 7th day arrived. Across hundreds of star systems, every eye was fixed on Earth's region of space, waiting to see what the ancient planet would do, hoping perhaps for a sign of surrender, or at least fear. But all they received was reply, no broadcasts, and no visible defenses around the blue world that had once been dismissed as nothing more than a backwater relic of evolution. And so, the Empire moved, from the orbit of Caleron Prime, Imperial Fleet Raxus, led by High Admiral Jurak Tal, launched through hyperspace lanes toward the Sol system. Their fleet was massive 2 dreadnoughts the size of cities, 9 destroyers, and over 60 small warships meant for speed and precision. Their orders were simple: enter Earth's space, send a final broadcast, destroy resistance, begin occupation. It was supposed to be easy. It was supposed to be quick. It was their first mistake. The first sign something was wrong came 2 minutes after they exited hyperspace. The entire Vraxis fleet emerged near Pluto's orbit, right where their navigational charts had directed only. Something was different. The space around them was too quiet. Their sensors showed no human ships nearby, no satellites, no warning beacons, nothing. But the silence wasn't peaceful. It felt like a trap. Scan the area again, Admiral Jurak ordered, tapping his clawed hand against the cold steel of his command chair. His second officer, a creature with 6 eyes and a nervous twitch, looked confused as he read the sensor logs. There's static interference, Admiral. Something's jamming our scans a bit, not in a way I've seen before. It's almost like what? The Admiral snapped. Like something is watching us. Before the Admiral could reply, a ripple appeared in the darkness. It didn't flash, it didn't scream, it simply bent space, like light through water, and from that distortion, a single ship emerged. It wasn't large, it didn't glow with energy, it had no markings, but it moved without any propulsion signature. It just slid through space, as if it was part of it. Identify that vessel, Jurak barked. The sensors tried. They failed. Every scan returned blank. Inside the human vessel, the Revenant, a pilot named Commander Solara, watched the enemy fleet with calm, focused eyes. She wasn't afraid, she wasn't impressed, she simply pressed one command: phase disengaged, let them see what's coming. For a split second, the Revenant shimmered into full visibility, and that was the last thing one of the Empire's destroyers ever saw, because in the next second, the ship disintegrated into dust. No explosion, no energy weapon detected, just gone, atomized as if it had never existed. Panic erupted on the Imperial bridge. What was that? One of our destroyers just vanished. No weapon fired, no projectile, no beam. Admiral Jurak stood slowly, his eyes wide. That's impossible. But at WASN single quotes, T. It had just begun. Within seconds, 5 more ships vanished, deleted from space without warning. And then came the message. It didn't come through standard channels. It came through every channel. It echoed through ship consoles, helmets and minds. This is Commander Solara of the Terran Revenant. You were warned. You chose war. Now learn what that means. The Revenant moved again, not like a ship, but like a shadow made of purpose. It twisted between dreadnoughts, avoided fire without effort, and launched attacks that couldn't be tracked. Each one disabling engines, melting hulls, or turning entire crews into frozen statues within their armor. And all the while, the humans said nothing more. They let the destruction speak. The Empire tried to fight back. Fighters launched, cannons roared, torpedoes chased shadows, but it didn't matter. Their technology was advanced, but Earth's was unpredictable. They had fought thousands of species, but never one like humans. In under 15 minutes, only 3 ships remained. One was heavily damaged, one was spinning out of control, and one, the Admiral's dreadnought, sat, trembling as its shields flickered, its crew too stunned to speak. "Retreat," Jurak said, his voice no longer strong. "Retreat, now." But no one moved, because the Revenant was now directly in front of them, still silent, still watching. And then came Earth's final message for that day. "This was your first lesson. Next time, we won't be this kind." The moment the damaged remains of Imperial Fleet Vaxis limped back to the nearest outpost, carrying only a few terrified survivors, the entire galactic empire was thrown into chaos. Admirals argued, governors panicked, news feeds across core worlds screamed with one message: Earth defeated the Empire's frontline flittle. No one believed it at first. They called it a malfunction, a glitch, a wormhole accident. But then came the data logs, the footage, the screams of captains who watched their ships vanish without a trace. And finally, the Emperor saw it. High above the gas giant of the Imperial Throne City floated like a crown in space, a world built on artificial rings, shining with light, armed with weapons capable of vaporizing entire systems. In the Emperor's chamber, dark, cold, and always silent, 3 surviving admirals stood on their knees before the throne. They were bruised, shaking. One was missing half a hand, burned by his own console, but they dared not look up. "You failed," said the voice from the throne. It wasn't angry, it was worse, it was disappointed. "You were sent to destroy Earth. Instead, you brought back fear." One admiral dared to speak. "It wasn't just a planet, your radiance. It was something else. Their ship, it vanished between attacks. It didn't fire like ours. It just erased." The Emperor leaned forward, eyes glowing with faint silver fire. "Then we erased them." Back on Earth, news of the Empire's first defeat was not shown to the public in celebration. There were no fireworks, no parades, only quiet acknowledgement. Because for Earth, this wasn't victory. This was warning, a sign of what would come next. Inside the Terran Defense Corps Deep Command Center, General Kai stood over a large star map showing known Imperial routes. She did not look excited. She looked focused. "The Empire will not run. It will retaliate. They will bring more ships. And next time they won't test us. They'll try to wipe us." Her advisors nodded. One AI commander, built from Earth's Cold War relics, spoke. "Their Emperor is known for emotional retaliation. We predict a full sector burn within 10 solar days." General Kai turned to the shadows of the chamber, where 5 cloaked figures stood. "Project Black Echo. Deploy the beacons. It's time the galaxy sees that Earth does not fight alone." Far beyond Earth, in secret colonies once thought abandoned, the humans began to awaken old allied species and machines. Earth had helped long ago when the Empire left them to die. One by one, forgotten systems lit up again. Old signals returned. Ships began to move, strange, ancient, powerful, and none of them bore the Empire's flag. They bore Earth's mark back on Salvaris. The Emperor stood before a war council of over 50 planetary leaders. They demanded action. This Earth insulted the entire Empire. We should destroy their star itself. Let the galaxy know what happens to challengers. But the Emperor raised one hand and silence returned. "This is no longer just a response. This is a lesson. Earth thinks it is strong. Then we will bring the full storm." He called upon the Ark Armada fleet that had not been deployed in over 400 years, made of world killers, ships the size of moons, weapons forged from the cores of dead black holes, and at the center of it all, the Emperor's own command ship, the Crimson Wound. In Earth's orbit, the Revenant returned. Its hull was scorched, its engines repaired, but its crew was alive. Commander Solara stood before General Kai. "They're coming, bigger, angrier, and they're bringing something old, something massive." Kai looked at her calmly. "Let them." She walked toward a sealed vault, deep beneath the Arctic surface. With her ID scan, it opened for the first time in 300 years. Inside it sat Project Obsidian, Earth's greatest kept secret. A ship so large, so advanced, so strange, it wasn't even considered a warship. It was considered a decision, as the stars watched both sides prepare. One neutral reporter broadcast from the edge of the Milky Way. "The Empire laughed at Earth. Now it brings everything it has. But humanity has not yet shown its real strength. The next strike may end everything." Across the stars, entire civilizations paused. Trade routes were cleared. Mining stations shut down. Even pirate fleets vanished into black holes or remote voids because they knew what was coming. And when the news finally arrived, it echoed through every corner of the galaxy. "The Crimson Wound has left Salvaris. The Emperor is aboard." The war had now become something else personal. The Crimson Wound was not just a battleship. It was legend. A vessel so large it had gravity of its own. A weapon forged from neutron star remnants. A ship that had destroyed 13 species in its first appearance centuries ago. And now, it was heading for Earth. Inside the throne room of the Crimson Wound, the Emperor stood tall beneath a ceiling of pulsing crimson light, his armor humming softly as machines and spirits long buried whispered beneath its plates. He looked out the window, not at the stars, but through them, calculating how long it would take before Earth burned. Set course directly for Sol. He commanded, "All fleets, follow." Thousands of ships moved in silence behind the flagship. No music, no chants, just war. But Earth was not sleeping. Under the Arctic ice, in a chamber carved by machines. 3 centuries ago, Project Obsidian had been awakened. It was unlike anything ever built by human hands. It wasn't sleek or sharp like Empire ships. It was layered, dense, with moving plates that shifted like muscles. It had no engines, no visible weapons, but it breathed, it waited, it listened, and now it had opened its single massive Aja-core reactor fused with a captured singularity. Commander, Solara walked through the viewing platform with General Kai beside her. Both women looked at the Obsidian as technicians and AI constructs performed final checks. "What exactly is this thing?" Solara asked. Kai didn't smile. "It's not a ship," she replied. "It's a verdict." Meanwhile, as the Crimson Wound approached the Kuiper Belt, the Emperor received new intelligence. The Revenant had reappeared. It was moving again alone. "Let it come," he said. "I want to destroy their pride myself." But then, his ship's sensors began to flicker. Just once, then twice, then, all at once, entire star charts glitched. Enemy fleets vanished from view. Time felt slower. Gravity twisted, and then, out of nothing, out of empty void, the Obsidian arrived. Not through hyperspace, not through jump drives that appeared, like it had always been there, hiding in plain sight. The Crimson Wound halted. Admirals shouted across comms. Sensor crews screamed. AI cores melted from overprocessing. Because the Obsidian was not made of metal alone. It was built with something else: quantum memories, folded dimensions, living circuits. It didn't register as a ship. It registered as a threat to reality. The Emperor narrowed his eyes. "Fire all weapons, missiles, gamma lances, tachyon disruptors, wormhole destabilizers, everything, all launched at once." And yet, the Obsidian didn't move. It didn't fire back. It didn't even blink. The weapons hit its surface, and nothing happened. They passed through it, like it wasn't even real. Inside Earth's control center, General Kai watched calmly. "Phase wall technology is holding," said the technician. "Enemy confused." She nodded. "Now we show them." The Obsidian's surface began to shift, not like armor opening, but like space itself unfolding. And when the wave hit, it didn't look like an attack. It looked like reality shattering. Half of the Empire's forward fleet froze in place. Not just the ship's dime froze inside them. Crew locked mid, weapons suspended mid, blast fires paused in mid-burn. And then, one by one, the ships crumbled, slowly, quietly, like sand falling from forgotten statues. The Crimson Wound's alarms howled, but it was too late. For the first time in his life, the Emperor felt something alien. Fear. He looked at the Obsidian and saw not a weapon, but a message. Earth didn't want conquest. It didn't want revenge. But if pushed, it would show what came after peace was broken. "Retreat," whispered one admiral. The Emperor didn't respond, because he was still staring into the Obsidian's eye, and he saw it staring back. The Crimson Wound floated in stunned silence. The battlefield that had once been filled with explosions, energy bursts, and screaming warships was now nothing but still space quiet, cold, and filled with debris that wasn't supposed to exist, and ships that were never supposed to lose. Half of the Empire's forward fleet had been erased in minutes. Not destroyed, erased. No fire, no remains, no radiation. It was as if reality itself had folded and left only emptiness behind. Inside the Emperor's chamber, alarms still echoed, but no one dared to move or speak. The giant screen showed a live view of Earth's weapon project, Obsidian suspended in the distance, unmoving, but glowing softly like the eye of some sleeping god. The Emperor stood frozen, his sharp metal fingers digging into the armrest of his throne, his breathing heavy, not from fear but from confusion. "This should not be possible," he said at last. Their science was 2,000 years behind, their weapons were crude, their ships simple, but Obsidian was none of those things. It had ignored black hole torpedoes, it had walked through time stasis fields, and worst of all, it had looked at the Empire's might, and not reacted at all. Back in the heart of Earth's command center, General Evelyn Kai received the full report. Technicians and AI officers buzzed around her, all surprised but not shocked by the results. She nodded slowly. "Obsidian proved stable. The phase wall defense is flawless. Reaction across alien space has begun." She turned to Commander Solara. "Now we wait. Let the galaxy talk." And it did. Within hours, every known species, every neutral world, every observer, every hidden fleet began broadcasting the same message in different languages. Earth has awakened something. Earth has a weapon not built by logic. Earth is no longer small. On diplomatic channels, panic spread. Alliances began to question their loyalty to the empire. Some minor empires demanded the emperor step down. Others offered secret peace with Earth, and all across the stars, whispers began. The humans never went silent because they were weak. They went silent because they were waiting. What else are they hiding? Inside the Crimson Wound, the emperor held a meeting with his 12 highest strategists. Only 7 attended. The others had gone silent, perhaps out of fear, or perhaps because their ships had not returned from the first assault. The room was tense. Dark. Only the emperor's glowing eyes lit the space. We underestimated them, said one. Earth has passed beyond prediction, said another. One admiral shook with anger. We must respond again. Bring all fleets. Use the world breakers. Burn their entire solar system. But the emperor raised his hand, slowly, firmly. No, he said. This is no longer about war. This is about balance. In Earth's orbit, Obsidian had returned to rest. Not powered down, not gone, just watching. Just existing. Its presence was louder than any threat, because it said only one thing. We could have destroyed more, but we didn't. Earth's message went out at last. Not aggressive, not loud, just clear. To the Galactic Empire and all star nations, we did not ask for war. We will not start one, but we will end it. If forced to rise again. The galaxy held its breath, because never in its long, complex, arrogant history had such words been spoken by a planet once considered primitive. And now, the Council of Galactic Species, the political body that once ignored Earth's pleas for peace, medicine, or membership called an emergency vote. Should Earth now be considered a civilization? A title only given to civilizations that could bend time. Bend matter, bend existence. The vote passed. Unanimously. Far away, in a forgotten system, a small alien child watched the broadcast from Earth. His father, once a captain in the Empire, stood beside him. Dad, are the humans monsters? His father shook his head slowly. No, son. They're not monsters. They're survivors. And we forgot what that meant. And in the darkest reaches of the galaxy, where ancient threats slept, and strange beings listened, something stirred. Not with fear, but with curiosity. Because Earth had revealed it was not just awake, it had changed the rules. The galaxy thought it had seen everything. But the Emperor wasn't finished yet. He watched from the throne deck of the Crimson Wound, not speaking, not blinking. As system after system bowed in fear to Earth, not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Even old enemies of Earth stayed silent. Even pirate lords sent messages of respect. But the Emperor still believed there was one path left. He turned to his last remaining strategist, a scarred being named Valen. Activate it, the Emperor said. Valen's eyes widened. But your radiance, it's not tested. It's not even alive anymore. The Emperor didn't repeat himself, because hidden in the void beyond the Andromeda Rift, deep inside a forgotten prison moon, something ancient waited, not a weapon of steel, but of DNA. Centuries ago, when the Empire was young and Earth was still writing in books, they had created something terrible, the Hollow King, a being made from the remains of extinct species, spliced with black hole-resistant material, and injected with harvested human DNA from long-abandoned Terran colonies. It was too violent, too unstable, too unpredictable, so they locked it away. Now, they were unlocking it. On Earth, the Obsidian remained still silent, as if it had already sensed what was coming. In the command chamber, Commander Solara stood with General Kai, and her advisors. News had reached them strange gravitational shifts near the edge of the galaxy. Dead systems lighting up, AI watchers going offline. Kai narrowed her eyes. They're about to unleash something that shouldn't exist. One old called Sentinel spoke slowly. The Hollow King has awakened. A whisper of dread passed through the room. Even Obsidian's internal lights dimmed slightly. The Hollow King had no name, only function when it was released. It did not roar, it did not threaten, it simply walked through walls, through void, across ships and fleets. The Empire dropped it into a shuttle and launched it toward Earth, not with honor, but with desperation, because they knew it couldn't be stopped. Not by ships, not by fleets, not even by gods. 2 days later, the Hollow King arrived. It didn't need an army. It was the army. flesh mixed with plasma, eyes made of black stars, hands that could tear a moon apart. It descended on Earth's orbit like a disease, infecting every sensor and weapon with static. Earth responded with silence, not panic, not war cries, just movement. Obsidian turned. It didn't fire, it didn't run, it opened. From its core, a small ship emerged, black, jagged, shaped like no human design. It had no name, because it was not built. It was grown. It was grown. Earth had kept a secret even from its own commanders, a seed of something unknown. Something that had never been programmed or trained. A life form, artificial, evolved, codenamed Echo-1. When Echo-1 launched, the Hollow King paused. It didn't pause because it was afraid it didn't understand fear. It paused because, for the first time, it sensed something like itself but purer. And in that moment, the two met. Not with weapons. But with sound. A deep frequency echoed across space, like a conversation. Too old for language. Inside Earth's chamber, even Solara couldn't understand what was happening. Why aren't they attacking? Kai listened carefully, then replied, because they're speaking, not with words, with origin. And then it happened. The Hollow King lunged. Echo-1 didn't dodge. It simply changed shape. One moment it was a ship, the next it was a shield, then a storm, then light. The two forces clashed over the planet Neptune, and for a moment, even the sun dimmed, the stars bent, waves of silent explosions rippled without heat. But inside those flashes of power, something happened no one expected. Echo-1 didn't destroy the Hollow King. It absorbed him. Not physically. Not chemically. Spiritually. It took the hate, the pain, the rage, the broken code that made the Hollow King and healed it. Across the crimson wound, alarms screamed. Back on Dwarus, the Emperor collapsed to one knee. On Earth, Obsidian dimmed, and then closed. And Echo-1 returned. Changed. It sent a single message to the galaxy. You built monsters to break peace. We built peace to break monsters. The war is over. The Hollow King was gone. Not dead. Freed. And with it, the Empire's last card was burned forever. In the silence that followed, the Emperor of the Galactic Empire, once feared across galaxies, stood before his people and bowed. For the first time in recorded galactic history, Earth had done the unthinkable. They fought a war without wanting one, and still won. The war was over, but peace didn't come quietly. It came like a wave, after the storms, low wide, unstoppable, touching everything from the brightest capital world to the darkest forgotten station on the galactic edge. And at the center of that wave stood Earth. Not in pride, not in power, but in purpose, because Earth had shown the galaxy something no one expected. It didn't just defeat the Empire, it changed the idea of power itself. On Selva, as the throne world of the Empire, silence ruled the halls that once shook with commands and orders. The Emperor sat not on his throne, but on the steps below it, his crown placed beside him, untouched. In front of him stood his people, generals, admirals, governors, servants, and they waited for his word. We have ruled by fear, he finally said, and now we are ruled by it. He looked up, not at the crowd, but toward the sky. The humans did not destroy us because they could. They spared us because we could change. And with that, the Empire voted for peace. Across the galaxy, one by one, old alliances broke, and new ones formed. The Galactic Council was restructured. Ancient tier system used to rank species by power was dissolved. In its place, a new table was built, and Earth sat at the center, not as a ruler, but as a reminder that war is never the final answer, but sometimes it is the last warning. General Aveline Kai stood at the edge of Earth's orbit, looking down at the blue planet she'd sworn to protect. Behind her, Project Obsidian returned to its resting place. Beneath the Arctic. It would sleep again, until it was truly needed. She spoke softly into the comms. Status. Commander Solara's voice came through. Calm. No threats. Trade routes are stabilizing. Peace negotiations complete with 17 species. Even the outer colonies are celebrating. Kai nodded. Good. Let them rest. In a quiet city on Mars, children learned something new in school. Not how to fire weapons, not how to fear aliens, but how to listen to them in one class. A child from Earth sat beside a child from the former Empire, both laughing at a story written by an AI storyteller that once helped run battleships. And outside the window, Old warships floated repainted into museums. On a moon near Alpha Centauri, Echo 1 hovered gently above a quiet valley. It didn't need a pilot. It didn't need fuel. It was now something more than a machine. It had seen war, healed rage, and become something new. Inside it, deep within its living core, the last memory of the Hollow King slept not in pain, but in peace. Reporters across the stars told stories not of fire and metal, but of how humans had laughed at war and meant it, because laughter, they now understood, wasn't weakness, it was a weapon, the kind that defeats fear. In Earth's capital, a great hall was built, the Accord Chamber, a place where all species could gather, argue, agree, and move forward. No throne. No titles, just one rule, carved into the entrance, written in the language of every known species. If you come in power, bring peace. If you come in hate, bring truth. And if you come in war, be ready to be taught. Years passed, and in the quiet corners of the galaxy, people still whispered about Earth's rise. Some feared it, some respected it, but most of all, they wondered, if Earth had this power all along, why didn't they use it sooner? And those who understood gave only one answer: because real strength is knowing when not to fight. And so, the stars spun forward. New civilizations were born, old ones were reborn. The memory of war remained, but so did the laughter, because in a galaxy of darkness and doubt, Earth became the one light. No one expected, not by being cruel, not by being conquerors, but by proving one quiet truth. Sometimes the strongest thing in the galaxy is a human who refuses to kneel.